Hey there, Runners and Rovers. Today we are in the city of San Antonio, Texas. And we're going to be exploring some of the Texan heritage that you can find here in San Antonio, so you can see if you want to add this to your very own bucket list for your very own rambling and roving adventure. So let's get started. So we're starting off our exploration of San Antonio at the site of the Alamo here in downtown San Antonio, one of the most iconic spots in the whole city. So we're going to be taking a tour of the interior of what is the original Alamo, and then we're going to be exploring some of the area around here in the downtown, see if we can tempt you into coming here yourselves. So some of your basic Alamo history. The original structure was completed in 1724 by Spanish friars with the aim of establishing a post here, which back then would have been the far side of the moon, to aid in their evangelization efforts of the local Indians out here in what used to be northern New Spain, later northern New Mexico. Because of the isolation of this whole area way back then, I mean, it would have been the frontier not only of the early United States but also of Mexico.
What's the difference between the three?
Well, this is a U.S. model musket, Springfield, 1795. This is a British Brown Bess. So the entire Mexican army, they had British weapons. And the men of the Alamo had them as well. And then this is a hunting rifle.
So there are different places here. If you're a history enthusiast, where you can learn about the history of the Alamo, you have the original site, which is where we are. It's almost like a garden. And then you have the museum to the side, and they're separate. So if you're not doing a self-guided tour, coming into the Alamo is free, and you only have to pay for the museum. It's interesting to combine a visit to both places, so you can get like a real accurate sense of the history that went down here. It's just kind of weird to come to this battle site as a Mexican, because we were obviously at the opposite end of this conflict. We just have a very different view as to how things are described in this site. It's just so weird because you have this very old structure here. You have the Alamo Church and what used to be the mission of San Antonio de Valero, which eventually became the fort after the Battle of Tejar, when the Texians occupied the mission and turned it into a fort. So you have this whole older structure, and you just have like so many buildings around the Alamo. So it's just so weird. It's just in the middle of the downtown. So you have all these Art Deco buildings, hotels, and all these other buildings from other eras of San Antonio's history, and it's just like right in the middle. It's almost like the San Antonio Central Park, if that makes any sense. Okay, so when you are in front of the Alamo Church, there's this little side exhibit that they have, and it's a reproduction of the original palisades that used to be here during the battle. You can see here that you have the church, and then you have this palisade where we are, simulating how it would have been, like the original fortifications that the Texians built to counter the Mexicans. So I was a little confused about where all these historic events took place. So you have the church, and it's kind of counterintuitive because you think, oh, the entrance is through here, so the battle must have taken place back there. But in reality, it happened out here in the middle of the plaza, only most of the structures aren't here anymore. So that's why they've built these improvised palisades, which we'll see in a little bit in greater detail. And I believe they are building these exhibits here in the back. They're not ready yet, clearly, still under construction, but to just kind of illustrate like where the actual battle took place. So it says here that this is where Davy Crockett was said to have fought during the battle, as said by one of the survivors of the Alamo, one of the women who sheltered inside the church. So these kinds of palisades would have made excellent protection, easily built, and short enough to, shoot over with your musket, close, but still providing enough cover. So if you're here in San Antonio and you want to visit the Alamo, you can come here Friday to Sunday at 11:30 or 1:30, and they do musket firing. So if you're really curious about, how it would have sounded, or if you want to see like the show, they do these like military kind of drills here to just kind of show in real time what history would have actually looked like. So that's a good little tip. So if you walk further down back from the church to this spot, this is the place where one of the original southwest fortification was. So this is where most of the brunt of the Mexican army came through on their attack. So they have this platform here simulating that battery that they had constructed at that corner of the fort. So so you can just kind of get a sense of how it would have looked like. So if this is the corner, you have the church here in the back running all around the plaza. So most of the original walls, you are not able to see them, but they would have run kind of along the lines of the streets of the plaza. It's kind of interesting to think that this was like such a big battleground and that so little of it actually remains. So right next to the side of the Alamo, you have Ripley's in front, and so many other quirky, cool locations and things to visit with the kids or with a significant other if you're traveling around here. And then back that a ways, you have the Riverwalk. It's been a while since I visited San Antonio, and even more of a while since I've actually had the chance to go around downtown, and I can just really appreciate like just how beautiful downtown San Antonio actually is. So you have all these different Art Deco buildings. It's all brick and elaborate facades. It's very beautiful to see and walk around in, especially like the plaza around the Alamo. You're immediately hit with the smell of barbecue. This just smells so delicious. This looks so good. We've been really aching to come back to this place. Every time we come to the US, we come here and we get some authentic Texan barbecue. It's an amazing place. It is a Texas themed trip, so it's not complete without having some barbecue. Have some of the smoky goodness. absolutely delicious. Barbecue has to be one of those things that Americans really do right. That was such good barbecue, but now I'm stuffed. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tour. It really is an amazing place to visit here in Texas, especially if you really want to get into that kind of like cultural, authentic American vibe. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It keeps us growing this amazing community of travelers, ramblers, and rovers just like yourself. So until our next adventure, see you later, amigos. Adios.